at the back is loud enough, if not shouting out, yes. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Riley Lipscomb from Rab Agency. This is Catherine Turner from Rab Agency. We also have Naomi Buston here with us today from BMI Baby, the client, who will be coming on later to answer any questions with us that you may have. So firstly, a little bit of a summary of what it is that we're going to be talking about today. Of course, we're going to have a bit of background into ourselves, BMI Baby, and a bit of our client history together, I guess, so you get a little bit of context as to why we decided to move forward with the creative that we did. We're obviously then going to cover the brief that we had from the client, from BMI Baby, and we're then going to talk a little bit about the rise of Instagram. I guess this is something that most of you in this room will be familiar with, so we've tried to include some of our insights as an agency into this photo sharing social network. We're then, of course, going to talk about the campaign, Mira Italia. We're then going to talk about our results and our learnings, and then, of course, the next stage for us, where this is going to be going.
So, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for listening to us today. So, what is Rabbit? Rabbit is a social media ideas agency. What does that mean? I guess everyone is saying that at the moment. Well, we look at clever ways of integrating social networks, social tools into more traditional communication strategies and new ones. Because everything, as you all know, everyone here knows, everything is changing so rapidly that we need to have a finger on the pulse, not just jump from bandwagon, make sure that it's right for each client, but also make sure that clients are fully aware of all of the options that are available. Over the past year, we've won over 6 awards for our work, and our clients range from fashion, technology, all the way through to travel. So we're a small agency, there's only 12 of us at the moment, but we're growing pretty rapidly.
And we should say our first client we won was, of course, BMI Baby. So, of course, they have a little bit of a special place in our heart, and we've been working with them for over a year and a half now. So, BMI Baby. They're a low fares airline. Sometimes they can get confused with BMI. They are, in fact, the sister airline to BMI, British Midland. And they're small. You know, there are only 13 aircraft. They fly to 39 European destinations. And overall, they want to be perceived as a fun airline. They want to inspire their customers to travel, and they want to use their size to kind of be small, be nimble, do fun things, and above all else, they want to just try and get cut through. I guess online that they're always going to struggle to compete with the EasyJets and the Ryanairs, who are huge by comparison, but we try to be clever with our tactics with them and really try and get cut through by perhaps having the occasional airline industry first and being the underdog with our campaigns. So that's a little bit about BMI Baby. So here we have a little bit of a history of our campaigns with them, which again will give you an idea of what worked well in our previous social media campaigns and therefore what we tried to take forward into our campaigns this year. In year 1, we were very much tasked with ensuring there was a robust customer service on their social media channels, so on Twitter and on Facebook, above all else. And then, of course, we were allowed to bring in smaller creatives alongside all of these throughout the year. I guess the most famous one for us, and I hope I get this right, was Free Flight Follow Friday. Can be a little bit of a mouthful. We were tapping into a very familiar Twitter tradition of this campaign. All we were asking people to do was to add 2 Fs onto their Follow Friday nominations and to tell us why their friends deserve flights. A simple, clever creative that really took off. It's something that we repeated throughout the year, something that BMI Baby really owned, and we're very proud to say we managed to get trending in London at the end of the year. So that was probably our most famous campaign in year 1. Year 2. This year we're looking at migrating the kind of customer service function in-house to BMI Baby. As an agency, we really believe that in-house should be the place where you manage customer service responses if there is the resource to do so. Because of course you are best placed to know your brand tone of voice, get the responses quickly, and of course it takes out a level of approval in there. So that's what we're in the middle of doing at the moment. We're also running some larger scale creatives as well as keeping in some of the ones from last year. One of these is our social media loyalty card campaign, which we launched earlier in the year working with Goanna. We set up 39 different check-in destinations at all of BMI Baby's UK bases and bases around Europe. Every time our customers checked in, they came in with a chance of winning more flights and offers from BMI Baby, as simple as that. We are just about to get physical artwork in all of our UK bases, and we're just about to run the in-flight magazine as well. So this is something that we're really continuing at this moment in time. BMI Baby's brief. So this is what they asked us to focus on this year. Number 1, as I said earlier, inspire their customers to travel. What we were really aware of is that we had an engaged and quite substantial online community already. So we wanted to work with them to inspire our customers to travel this year. Because of course, as we all know, a third-party recommendation or a recommendation from your peer will carry so much more weight than a brand. So it's really about how do we work together to inspire our customers to travel. Priority route focus. They're a low fares airline. We have to really take into consideration their business model. Their priority routes change from week to week and month to month. So our creators really had to be flexible. We had to be able to apply the same campaign to Italy, to Belfast, to Stansted, depending on what was needed at that moment in time. Airline first. I mentioned this earlier. We are a small airline. If we can be the underdog, if we can get in there first with something clever and get talked about in that way, then we're going to do it. So this is always something that's at the forefront of our minds. And also campaigns that are cross-platform. We really want to be able to bring to life any of our creatives on their Facebook page, on their Twitter feed, using Gawala, on their Instagram feed now, on their blog, but also offline. We don't want to just sit in a digital silo. If we can build in events, if we can get this talked about offline, so much better. So, whilst this brief had come in, I guess you could say Instagram is happening, as we all know. Instagram launched in the App Store on the 6th of October 2010. Since then, and in the words of their CEO last week, they are just south of 10 million users. To put that into perspective, Foursquare are about the same number of users, but they've taken double the time to get there. SoundCloud are at half the number of users, and they've taken 5 years to get there. In fact, last month, Instagram passed the 150 million uploads mark, which is incredibly impressive. Quite simply, for any of you that aren't familiar with it, Instagram is a photo sharing social network. You can upload your pictures, you can put filters on them to make them look incredible, and you can share these across various different social networks. So, many of you will have known that already. I guess what we wanted to share with you as well is some of our agency insights from this network. One, it's not just the usual suspects. And what I mean by that is, first people that started using Instagram weren't those that jumped on Google Plus instantly, weren't just those that started tweeting first. It's a completely different community we found when we really looked into the social network. That were incredibly, highly engaged, really supportive, very, very responsive. It was incredibly exciting to see this grow.
Also, one of the notable things about Instagram users, at least those who started early, is that they tend to be more of an influential user. They might not be the usual suspects, but they are the ones who have a large number of followers, who are sharing content regularly and sharing it with the right people. So they tend to be those kind of ones, if you're looking at the 1992 theory, they're the ones creating content and they're the nines that are sharing it. So they're really that kind of crucial customer that you're looking at. So it's a really very, very engaged community.
Also, I guess another thing for us that really underpinned the success of Instagram was how it integrated into other social networks. So not just Twitter, not just Facebook, Tumblr, Foursquare, Flickr, but more recently things like food spotting. It really is taking off with that community as well. And of course, there were other brands already adopting it when we started looking at it. We've got 4 of the perhaps the most obvious here and the most obvious artist, Moby. But Burberry really interests me. In fact, yesterday I noticed one of the things they're doing for London Fashion Week. They've actually asked Mike UK, I think I've got his username right, to take over their feed. He's taking over their feed at London Fashion Week and shooting all the pictures for them. Why him? He has the largest following of UK Instagrammer that there is. So he's a photographer, not necessarily an influential blogger, but he certainly is one of the most influential people within this network, and he's shooting for Burberry this week. Other airlines we should mention, again, when we had this briefing, we wouldn't have been the first airline to launch on Instagram. BA were already there, using it as pretty much a news feed, as were EasyJet, although as of yet they've only uploaded 2 pictures, so we're yet to see what they're going to do within Instagram. A few other things that we were really impressed with by Instagram were one of them would be communities. Now, communities begun early on within this network, but none have been so successful as Instagrammers, or IGers as they're known. Now, Instagrammers are regionally focused communities on Instagram. Now, they will have central feeds, which can be national or city-based. So, for instance, IG is Italia, IG is UK, or IG is Rome, or IG is London. They will all have a central Instagram feed which they follow, and that they all have their own tags which they use as well, which means they can organise events offline, they can knowledge share, they can communicate with each other, they can run challenges. They really are very, very engaged communities. And at the moment there are 104, but this is increasing every single week. They're pretty much coordinated by an overall Instagram feed. It's kind of a lead feed, which is is run by Phil Gonzalez, who's his username here. They also have their own hub site. They all have their own Twitter feeds, Facebook pages, and meetup pages as well to organise the offline events.
One thing just to add to that is that these communities sprang up really quickly. It's kind of playing into more of the meetup tradition of having those groups that tend to evolve over time, but these sprang up within the first month and they have grown month on month. And working with these communities and understanding how they work is one of the most crucial and important ways that we have managed to have success in campaigning.
Challenges. Something we noticed very early on was that creative challenges are very popular on Instagram. These aren't just run by brands, these are run by users and all sorts of communities. Perhaps the most well-established creative challenge feed is Josh Johnson. Again, I would encourage you to check out his feed and his main tag, which would be JJ_forum. Now, these challenges are really interesting because, of course, they're all explained with just one visual. By all means, there's a bit of blur below, there's a link to a blog post, but what they try to do is launch fun and simple games on Instagram. They're obviously explaining the visual, which means that they can cross language barriers, but also tech barriers. And they're very much focused on hashtags, so you can follow a lot of them just by clicking on the various hashtags that are below. And again, this was something that really intrigued us when we started looking at the network.
Also, one other point to add there is that in most cases there isn't an incentive to enter. It's done because there's a community there and you wanted to share. So it's not about winning a prize, it's about sharing content. And that's quite unusual in relation to other social networks. They're working when competitions run. It is based on merit with Instagram, whereas in other environments it tends to be based on a prize or a gift or some kind of end goal. So it's really a different kind of community. And the users that enter competitions across the whole of Instagram, they tend to not be those typical normal competition entrants who do this habitually. It's something about sharing creativity, so it's a really different network.
So, of course, as an agency, we're always looking at how we can monitor, evaluate, and bring Instagram to life outside of the app. You can see here we've got a little Instagram galaxy, which was a visual that the Instagrammers actually themselves posted, which we found to be very, very useful. As you can see, there are many different browsers, apps, and tools that you can use. A few that which are particularly notable, I'd say, in the edit suites anyway, would be Iris, SquareReady, and Fonto. These will help you to create some fantastic images and help your page be a little bit more of an Instagram pro. We also have an evaluation tool here, which is Statagram. It's a completely free tool. Again, I'll touch on that in a moment. And then browsers. You know, obviously we can all see these beautiful images if we've got the app, if we're a user, but it's important for us to be able to kind of show anybody what the images are that are coming up on Instagram all the time. So Instagallery, Instagrid, and Webstagram would be our recommendations for that.
Another point to add. It's really interesting to see how companies and organisations are taking this on. Recently, GE and BMW both launched their own filter app. So you're taking pictures in a kind of BMW environment to share content, but it's I guess it doesn't feel like quite the right way to approach the community. So it's finding those different ways of actually adapting to how Instagram works rather than in the most obvious way with a branded app.
So, Statagram. I mentioned this is a completely free tool. It's incredibly useful for a number of reasons. Firstly, you can absolutely manage your Instagram profile through Statagram. Like, follow, comment, unfollow, research various hashtags. But also, it can help you to optimize your feed. So it will tell you when you should best post pictures, what filters are most successful for you. But also, and I know we all love an infographic, it produces you regular infographics on your feed and emails them to you every week. Your most engaged followers, your most liked pictures, the best response time for you. And I was quite impressed that they email them to you in a square format, so they're simple to upload to Instagram, and they encourage you to use their hashtag Statagram. So again, if any of you are Instagram users, I'd encourage you to check out that hashtag just to see some of the visuals that they regularly send through. Another thing that's very useful with Statagram is that you can privately message users through this tool. That's not something that the Instagram app actually offers. It's not within the functionality at the moment. So it's very useful for us and the creative campaign we're just about to talk you through now, especially when we're trying to speak to various winners. So the idea, the campaign that we're here to talk to you about today, very simply, we wanted to create visual inspiration guides, one per month, for various BMI Baby destinations. For each one, we wanted to work with a different national Instagram group to launch the competition, and for each one, the ask was the same, very, very simple. Hashtag your beautiful pictures of insert country to win flights. Then we would pick a finalist from each of the 3 weeks, because it would run for a full month, and in the final week, all the images would be reposted to the BMI Baby Instagram feed, and the community would decide the winner. So something that we found to be quite regular throughout all Instagram competitions is that they want to have the final say. They don't feel like a brand can tell them what is a good Instagram picture, so we felt very confidently early on that the community should decide the winner. Chapter 1, I guess. We wanted to start the BMI Baby Instagram feed well before we launched any creative tactics. We wanted to make sure that we were welcomed by the community. We started approaching them in a way that they felt comfortable. We didn't want to just go in there and start asking them to do things. So we launched the BMI Baby Instagram feed. We started posting regular content. We started cross-posting that to all our own social media channels. And we launched the BMI Baby Ground hashtag. So this is a hashtag we use to make sure all our images are grouped together, but also that any of the community on Instagram can tag their pictures with if they want us to be aware of them, or if they want to share an image with us. We then started approaching various different ideas or Instagrammers, because we felt that this was a far better way of approaching this community in a way that they felt comfortable to talk to us. And then we launched. So quite simply, we launched with visuals. These went on the BMI Baby feed, as well as in the first month IG's Italia feed. So our first chapter was completely focused on Italy. Quite simply, in a visual, we asked them to tag beautiful pictures of Italy with Mia Italia. You can see here we also had some images thanking them for the response, because we were quite overwhelmed by the number of entrants that we had very, very early on. You can see here as well at the bottom that we have our 3 finalists that we selected, and the final image in the corner here, we ask everybody to like their favourite, so again, the community could decide the winner. And here's the winner. And as you can see, they selected the 3rd week finalist, and we posted this final image thanking everybody for their participation, and of course led into the next chapter, which of course is coming up very soon. Is the winner's reaction and our results. As you can see, we were really, really excited by the number of entrants that we had early on. Something that it was difficult for us to do is we needed to really benchmark what would be a success. And personally, I'm quite a big fan of Moby, and he launched an Instagram competition to sort of announce his album. He asked his followers to kind of tag their pictures with Destroyed. This was supported by a massive sell-in, a microsite, and at the end of the campaign, we had 1,700 entrants. So again, we were quite pleased when we managed to surpass him in our 2nd week.
Also, a point to add is normally when we run a competition with BMI Baby, we're always excited if we receive 100 entrants. So 1,000 in the first week was rather impressive for us. It just goes to show that something spreads like wildfire on Instagram if you get it right. If you get it wrong, totally bombs.
Very true. And a final point to make is that the hashtag has pretty much gained a life of its own. People are still using it. People are still tagging their beautiful pictures of Italy. It's almost growing as its own little community. So we were really excited to see that it didn't just stop the minute the incentive had left. Now, like I said, we wanted to create visual inspiration guides. We wanted to take these beautiful pictures that our Instagram community gave to us and inspire our customers, bringing it back to the brief. So we are about to launch on the BMI Baby blog our very first inspiration guide, Chapter 1, Mia Italia. What we've done is we've built a custom plugin which pulls in any image tagged on Instagram, Mia Italia, to this guide. You can view all 3,000 plus images on here. It gets updated every single hour. And what you can't see from this, which we'll be able to see in the BMI Baby blog very soon, is that you can click through to individual images. You can see all the comments, the likes, the tips, everything that the Instagram user has in that picture, and scroll through page by page by page, almost as if it was an actual guide.
Essentially what this is taking a kind of more traditional Twitter feed with a hashtag and pulling it in. We all know that that is incredibly dangerous. And there have been countless situations where that has gone wrong. But with Instagram, because it's visual, it is pulling on images. And there is a very, very different user base there. So there's far less likelihood for those images to be appropriate. It is all about the tag, and it's about respecting the community. There is the community almost self-manages, and so if there's anything inappropriate, it's always pulled on straight away. And so this feed that is coming in is user-generated, and it's something which is really works well with BMI Baby. It works well with the destination, and it just shows the vast number of different creative people that are out there that are involved in this. So when you want to go on to the next slide, when you click on any of these images, but if you were to click on any of these images, it shows it in full screen, and it allows you to see the tags that people have put, the information they've put about the destination. So it might be, this gorgeous beach that is, with the sea brushing at my toes, whatever it happens to be. It really provides a really nice user-generated photo.
And I guess just a final point, it's lasting value for being my baby. This isn't something that's just a flash in the pan. Whenever anybody asks them on Twitter, where should I go, or I'm thinking about going on holiday, where have you got great deals, we can obviously give them the information on flights and things going on, but we can also say, why don't you check out the various chapters of our destination guides, see which destination really appeals to you the most. And now my journey. So we have, of course, now launched the next chapter, and this is something which we're very, very excited about. We're working with IGEA's Germany to launch this, and we are now already in our 3rd week. And I guess the most exciting thing about this is we're surpassing the number of entrants already. If any of you want to go and vote or see the finalists, they are now all live on the BMI Baby feed, so please go on there and like whichever one is your favourite if you feel so inclined. But yeah, we're really, really excited to see that this has legs in the next chapter. So a quick summary of why we thought this worked. I guess number one, we worked with an existing community. We didn't just launch it on our feed. We really respected the fact that this community existed on Instagram, and we just tried to work with them in a way which they would feel comfortable. We tried to build a creative around something that they were used to doing, and we approached them on Instagram and asked them how they would like to work with us. There's a brand tie-in, but it's not in your face. The hashtag does not include BMI Baby near Italia. I think it all links back to the BMI Baby feed. We're obviously using this content on our own blog. We didn't want to expand the brand how people's throat. It's not something that will be well received on Instagram at all. And it's long term. I think, as I've mentioned quite a few times, it's not one quick flash in the pan tactic. Of course, we can always revisit these guides. We're doing this a different month on month. So it's my journey this month. We're going to be working with Ireland next month. So it's something that really has longevity for them. And extensions beyond Instagram. There's a couple of things we're going to mention in a moment. But of course, this visual guide has legs of its own later in life. We're obviously using all of the content on all of the other BMI Baby social feeds. And of course, there's also a PR element to this as well. And I guess, just quickly, a benchmark for success. I know I've already mentioned Moby. It's almost like a personal victory for us, as we're quite big Moby fans. But there's also a mention here of JJ Forum, which links back to the Josh Johnson feed, which is perhaps the main challenge feed on Instagram. His forum averaged around 3,000 to 4,000 tags, something that we've surpassed. From a tiny little airline based in the UK, working with Instagram feed, we've managed to get just as much, if not hopefully more traction than he does. And this is how we're taking it offline, as much as possible.
So working with the London IGEA's group, there's going to be an exhibition in October, so a real-life exhibition of photographs. There's about 30 different users, along with BMI Baby and the Mia Italia and my Germany tags. And this is going to be in a real gallery in Brick Lane. There's going to be the doors open for the whole weekend. People come and have a look at the photos. Now, this is kind of important because it means that it's not just online. It's not just on your smartphone. It's a real gallery exhibition of photographs. And it really taps into the kind of creative community that is on Instagram, but it also brings it alive. And it's as Riley mentioned earlier, it's a more subtle way of a brand working with a community, rather than it being BMI Baby sponsoring the first ever exhibition. They are exhibiting along with other people. So it's very much a level up. And this is going to be taking place, as I say, in October. There's going to be some very, very interesting characters who are going to be exhibiting alongside BMI Baby. You can't say, but it's quite exciting. But it's a very interesting way of taking what has been a successful online campaign offline into the real world.
And the next stage will be BMI Baby. This is something we're about to launch, and we are very, very excited to shout about. So it's the BMI Baby Insta-Meet Exchange. Essentially, we are working with Instagrammers in Italy, Germany, UK, London, and all across Europe eventually to bring them to UK-based Insta-Meets and to take them out to all of the other Insta-Meets in BMI Baby destinations. We're really, really excited about this one. We're really looking forward to meeting all of the different members of the community from around Europe, but also about the content that we can create together. So again, this is something that that we're doing very, very soon. And really all it's costing BMI to do is flights. And it's really helping us to build relationships with those key, as Kat mentioned earlier, incredibly influential players on this social network. That's everything from us. If you want to find out any more information about the campaign, you can always visit the BMI Baby blog. You can of course always tweet or call us out. We're here to answer any questions. Of course, if there's any questions now, Naomi is here, happy to welcome them, but thank you for listening.
I'm going to take a picture of you all. So smile, please. My rabbit phone. Oh, you all look great. Thanks so much, everyone. Does there have any questions?
This way, sorry. Right,
Okay, I think Robert.
Hi, my name's Sarah Fox, I'm from Fiji. This is a fantastic idea, this is why I came today, to hear something like this. But what's to stop your competitors from just taking this idea and running away with it?
Nothing, in all honesty. I guess copying us would be the best form of flattery. I mentioned earlier our free flight to Follow Friday campaign, and I think we both remember when EasyJet pretty much copied it about a month later. But I think it's building those relationships with that community. We were one of the first brands to get in there, and we went on to those meetings and said, look, we just want to work with you. We're so impressed by what you've done. How can we work with you? So I hope that the relationships we've built will really put us in a great place to move forward with them. But if other brands want to work with them, then by all means, go ahead. I think there's more than enough space for anybody to work with them, really. But I think what really shows their confidence in us is that we are the only brand that have been invited to exhibit with them this year. So fingers crossed, it puts us in a good place, but we'll see.
Well, yeah, just to reiterate what the lady said, it was a really good campaign, really interesting, very creative. You probably already mentioned it, but just to reiterate, just in case I missed it, I was wondering what the figures were in terms of what you gained from extra revenue, for example, from the campaign. So going back to what we were earlier, the return on investment, for example, I don't know if you could just expand on that a little bit.
So ROI, I guess, on the consumer. I think really we don't always look to pin what it is that we're doing onto complete ROI. Really, it's more about inspiring our customers to travel. So if we're looking at that as a figure, then we have thousands and thousands of images of our beautiful destinations to show them, to entice them to fly, would probably be my response to that one.
Yeah, from a PR perspective as well, we always find it's very hard to measure PR because it's more about engaging with our customers rather than putting bums on seats. At BMI Baby, we feel that's more the job of the traditional marketing team, whereas with us it's about engaging and inspiring our customers.
Hello. Firstly, well done for a great campaign. It's really interesting to see. Could you tell us a little bit more about the challenges you had with sort of a cutting-edge application, right, which is on a phone, which is quite niche, and balancing that with the sort of strategies, tactics. You shared earlier on a lot of different applications to use to measure and to report back on. Can you tell a little bit more about the challenges dealing with that? Because all this stuff is still moving in real time. So it's not something that's already there you can pick up and do. There's new tools coming out every day and reporting back, and it's just amazing how the results you guys achieve just from something like that. So it'd be good to hear.
I guess it's a little bit about just trying to keep your finger on the pulse. Like you say, it's changing all the time, and I think the reason why we managed to do that is that we are all active Instagram users. So I guess really on a personal level, we count ourselves as members of IG's London and members of IG's UK. And as far as knowledge sharing, of course we read about this all the time, this is the industry we work in, but actually for me the best place to find out about, the best tool to show Naomi how many results we've got, or for her to see our beautiful visuals, are from the Instagram feeds, or from people that are closer to the team at Instagram. So people know that they're a team of 6. So actually putting out news on their blog, it's not very regular, it's not the best place to go for that news. So for us, the only way to learn about anything that we do are to be active members of the community, and that's across the board for all of the networks we work with. We have to be completely immersed in them to know.
It's true, there's different apps that support Instagram that are released almost daily, and different ways in which you keep track of those or I guess respond to those is being aware of it. mean, on a personal level, we love using Instagram. I will definitely add that picture of all of you smiling later. But it's something that we, because we use it, we understand the best way to use it. Not in every single case. I would say probably the hardest thing to overcome was language barrier. We're contacting local groups. We've had some brilliant emails from Italy and hysterical ones from Germany. But it's really, we've made friends with these people, and we will hopefully be meeting them when they come over to the exchange. But it's, at the end of the day, it's very much user-generated. As Bridie said, there are only 6 members of the Instagram team. They are not involved with the local groups at all. These are local groups that have been set up by passionate people. And I think that's probably the best way that we keep track of that, is by sharing that passion.
Your last question.
It's a great case study for Instagram, especially as there's not many out there at all. But do you ever think that you could have quadrupled your numbers had you have done that campaign on Facebook, for example? Because Facebook seems to be the default because of its numbers. So I like the way how you didn't go that route, but I was wondering if it comes back to straight numbers, you probably would have got more on Facebook.
I'd say that we obviously let our Facebook community know that we're doing this. It isn't something, yes, obviously the entrance came straight through Instagram, but obviously we did publicise it to our Facebook community as well. I'd say that it's a different community. I don't actually think that the specific BMI Baby Facebook community would have responded well to that. We of course have quite a lot of experience with competitions on Facebook. And of course, what we all know now that would involve some third-party app development. And really, this was a test for us. To launch this on Instagram just involved launching a visual creative and seeing what happened. And I think it made a lot more sense for us to run it on Instagram purely for the results we get as well. I think people really take some time and effort and pride over their images on Instagram. Not people don't on their Facebook pictures, but I think if we were looking at an end result, which is an inspirational visual destination guide, the results we wanted would have come from Instagram. And quite honestly, I think we'd agree that we'd rather have a really impressive piece of content with 3,000 entries than a perhaps not so impressive or inspiring piece of content with 10,000 entries.
Also, Facebook is very crowded. Everyone is vying for attention there. There's loads of different, picture competitions or status competitions or, apps that you have to like in order to enter competitions. And really, I think that is less inspiring for people. And also, it's very much about a brand pushing a message. The difference with this is this wasn't about a brand message at all. It was very much about destination, which people love to travel, people love to share their pictures. So it was more fitting to the community than going where the numbers were. And I think the reality at the moment is that Facebook has a lot of users. They're not always the most active users, and they are even less likely to take part in such things because the market is closed.
Anything else? That was terrific.